we experience and struggle with loads of emotions and thoughts pretty much on a day-to-day basis. But when was the last time you actually put in some effort and hard work to transmute, to try to manipulate those emotions that spawn in you as well as in others? In particular, amongst those NPCs, those sheeples that mindlessly follow and obey orders and social norms, as well as conventions, etc. What is going on, YouTubers, my fellow subscribers, viewers, and most beloved patrons? Welcome to another video, and welcome back to my channel. It's the 5th of June, year 2025, both at Australian Eastern Standard Time / Sydney time, as well as local Beijing time. So during this filming session, I'd just like to talk more about emotional control, as well as how to manipulate, how to take advantages of people's emotions, including your own. So, well, as far as I can tell, I generally find myself rather emotional. Well, at least while I, spend time with myself, by myself in complete solitude, hoping to achieve or attain a state of Zen, and by seeking inner peace and tranquility, and suppressing those negativities / well, more colloquially known as thoughts pertaining to black holes and whatnot. Nevertheless, I believe I have made some useful discoveries about how to manipulate emotions, including your own emotions, to your advantage, and thus kind of bending the reality or your reality to your favor. Despite the fact that I am still currently stranded at my grandma's flat, my emotions, my current, thoughts about my own self, about my own circumstance, constantly fluctuates and oscillates east and west, here and there, more or less, day by day, night to night. And well, as you can see, from from my videos, from my posts, I tend to share here on YouTube. And regardless of my relatively speaking stagnant circumstance, I tend to experience and as I have previously put, struggle with loads and different kinds of emotions, including, but are not limited to, regrets, remorse, grief, as well as less frequently hope, though some trace or some faint amount of hope, but more often than not, helplessness, despair, desperation, and fear. Never, and yet, on the other hand, I have begun to learn how to use them to my advantage, and by exploring and diving into more insights into human beings' psychology, in particular dark psychology. I beg your pardon. I suppose at this point, more or less, we all kind of need to learn to gaslight ourselves into believing that we still have some hope or stand some chance of making a more a positive shift and change of of our lives for the better, even if we don't see much hope lying or standing in front of us. Say at my lowest and most despairing, most desperate moments, somehow I can still manage to at least bounce back and recover, at least to a certain extent or degree. Though the time I take can also fluctuate and oscillate here and there, more or less. That says sometimes I tend to to take somewhat shorter amount or duration of time to recover and regain some strength and focus, and yet on the other hand, it can take approximately weeks, a week or two, even nearly a month for me to regain a bit of focus and control over my own mind, so that the thoughts, of the thoughts of self-deletion, of committing suicide, no longer, or at least for a season, no longer have a firm grasp or foothold on me, on myself. And I know some of you guys out there might disagree, saying that truth is all that matters. Well, not always, not necessarily. Just imagine or try to, though I'm not exactly attempting to traumatize or terrorize you guys, but just imagine, seeing seeing a person, no matter his or her gender or nationality or their backgrounds, just try to visualize or imagine, a person jumping, from a rooftop of a skyscraper, and then fell right on the ground with his or her brain matter scattered and popped out all over the place, and his or her face totally shattered and disfigured. Just ask yourself the question, such question: do you really want to see what's inside of a human being's skull? Do you really do you truly, do you genuinely want to know the full picture, the full story as to why such poor folk, such poor person, why he or she, what made he or she take his or her own life. You certainly do not want to. Well, at least here I make a wild guess or speculation that at least most, if not all, of you sitting or standing here, watching or listening to my video, most, if not all, of you guys, won't actually or dare not actually relive what exactly such poor folk went through, and thus took his or her life in such a tragic and saddening fashion. Yes. So as you can see, knowing the truth doesn't necessarily grant you or provide you with the most or maximal amount of benefits, but instead it can hurt you more often than not. Yes. So judging from such sort of anecdote or the example I gave you, we can pretty much come to a conclusion that on some occasions, even not more often than not, it's totally fine. It's totally okay and adequate not to know the truth or the truth. It's sometimes, if not most of the occasions, it's totally fine, to to feed yourself with the anes the anesthesia by gaslighting yourself that everything will be fine. And in truth, everything will be fine in the end, since we will all die. We will all, whether we like it or not, come to a total end, a total finishing line, of our earthly life and our earthly journey, while dwelling in this stinking and rotten meat sack. Though do not misunderstand. That does not necessarily imply that you should look at everything or everyone that cross paths with you during your life with the filter of nihilism and black pill. Well, not at all. On the, I beg your pardon. But on the contrary, something still matters, I guess, at the end of the day, or at the end of each and every human lifespan. Well, since none of us wants to die, wants to come to an end or a finishing line of our life with filled with misery and regret, I suppose at this point, as a truly black-pilled dude, you should know that deep in the core of your heart, that reaching and attaining a peaceful exit from this life, from this hostile and pathetic life, without regrets and misery, is the I believe is the ultimate level of success. Well, if you put non-existence, oblivion, total oblivion aside, or set it aside, then yes, I believe, dying a painless, peaceful, and natural death without regrets and without much misery actually counts as the ultimate form or level of success. No matter your your religion, your ethnicities or nationalities or sexual orientation, and blah blah blah. Yes. So and um, I suppose at this point we can all agree upon such point. And on the other hand, I would like to you know um, I would like to point out how much it actually matters to learn how to manipulate people, including yourself. That says, gaslight yourself in, into, or indoctrinate yourself into a certain mental state or status that you find enjoyable, say euphoria, or hopefulness, and filled with joy and um, beg your pardon, filled with joy and passion, and flow state. Yes. So that says you want to um how should I put it, recondition or deliberately program your mind, um, or fine tune your mind, um, and tap into those mental states or statuses in order to maximize enjoyment, sense of fulfillment, sense of achievement, and you know purposes. Yeah, I beg your pardon. So yeah, and knowing how to invoke or evoke um certain types of beg your pardon, knowing how to invoke or evoke or even provoke certain types of emotions in others, in particular those NPCs, those so-called normies, um, can serve can serve a huge amount of benefits, even monetary gain, even monetary profits. That can include, but are not limited to, greed, fear, obsession, or addictions with certain mind states, or certain types of contents, or even substances. You get the drill. I know you guys know the drill, and by making a leverage of those that are that fear, that dread of losing their property, their fame, their reputation, or their so-called face or dignity, or slash, socio or social economic statuses, or their kind of, their virtues, even their virtue, virtual socio-economic statuses, that says, their levels for their achievements even in video games, their fear of losing even the most in 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 intangible things can drive them insane, and that's precisely why so many folks, well, in particular, so many dudes still lose themselves in video games, in 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 spending money on OnlyFans or slash OnlyFoods, they may lose favor from their dream girls, their dream their crutches, and and that can also I believe apply in in a marital relationship, or so-called bond between a husband and a wife, um and but unfortunately, most, if not all occasions, um husbands tend to get outplayed by their wives, by loads of attached strings, say um, many wives, or I should say many husbands, they just re, relinquish their financial independence or freedom by submitting their bank accounts to to their wives, and in turn their wives only spare them a few bucks, even a few cents, even a few mm, pennies to their wife, to their husbands, as you know um, um, beg your pardon, as as in Japanese we call that um, kozukai or pocket money, yes, and that happens, such phenomenon is not, it's totally not a rare occurrence. It occurs, it exists in a variety of um, cultures and countries and regions and blah 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 blah. So it has nothing. It has absolutely nothing to do with race or ethnicity or national borders. But it has a lot to do with human nature, in particular human psychology, dark psychology, female nature, male nature. So in order to become a master manipulator and manipulate your reality to your advantage and maximal amount of benefits, you must get yourself familiarized with how those intrinsic natures work behind the scenes. And yeah, so and in order to succeed in so doing, you must start to manipulate yourselves, start to manipulate slash reconditioning, reprogramming your minds into believing that you can do so. And since a digital nomad bum like me with pretty much zero face-to-face human contact on a daily basis can even I can do so, can learn to do so with some at least some amount of new discoveries and success. There's absolutely no reason to think, to believe otherwise in yourselves. So yeah, but on the other hand, be reasonably selfish, but on the one hand, just bear this in mind. Be reasonably selfish, but on the other hand, make sure that your conscience can rest easy. Make sure that your actions, your decisions don't conflict with your conscience. Yes. And in the meantime, be manipulative. Be as manipulative as you can by hacking, by tapping into your own undiscovered, unfulfilled potentials and hacking into others' minds and make them do what you desire them to do, so that you stand to reap, and you stand to gain the maximal amount of benefits. And yes, that is basically, I believe, how one actually, reaches the top. in life. No matter CEOs, entrepreneurs owning and running all those huge multinational conglomerates like Elon Musk's, Mark Zuckerberg's, Bill Gates, or those politicians, those well, beg your pardon. Forget about whether they are actually evil or not. At least most of the times they are enjoying their human experiences. So yeah, be manipulative. Learn to reprogram. Learn to recondition. Learn to reprogram, recondition people's, including your own minds. Anywhere, anytime, and that I believe brings the conclusion of this filming session. Though I haven't I actually decided how to name the title of this video just yet. But in any regards, I believe, yes, I believe I believe I have talked enough, and in case you happen to have spotted any crucial or key points that I might have overlooked, feel free to write them down in the comment section, and please if that doesn't cost you too much time or effort, please consider smashing the like button and subscribing to my channel, so that I can earn some more favors from the YouTube's lady algorithm or harlot algorithm, and therefore enhancing and strengthening the the virtuous cycle, and thus I can motivating me to to bring you guys more authentic talks here on YouTube, as well as on other platforms like BitChute, Rumble.com, as well as Patreon. Yes. So yeah, I beg your pardon for my stuttering, but yes, in case you have made this far for this filming session, thank you very much for watching and being with me until the end. So yeah, thank you again, and in case you find this video useful or enjoyable, please don't hesitate to smash that like button. And yeah, you have a lovely day, and thank you very much for watching and listening. So if God's still willing, hope to see you guys next time on YouTube, on BitChute, Rumble, etc. So yeah, cheers, keep having fun, and stay out of trouble. Amen. Cheers. Bye. Take care.